They're twisting the text. They are trying to conceal its true meaning. We've heard, but their edits are shallow. The truth will out someday.
Good evening, everyone. And today we are here with the Powerhouse panel. I've got some of the brightest minds with me. I've got Mal, I've got JC, I have Odon, and of course, Usama. And everyone's going to, I know what you guys are thinking. It's a great team except for me. So with that said and out the way, we're going to be talking about the Quranic. We're going to be talking about the Quranic Endgame. And this seems to be to replace Jesus with Mohammed. And this seems to be what the Islamic Quran project was about. And I think as a panel, we've got a couple of interesting upcoming projects that we've just discussed. So yeah, but tell you what, JC, we'll start with you since you're the host today. What are we going to learn tonight?
Well, thank you for the invite, and it is wonderful to have this conversation with all of you guys. So we are going to continue with everything that the topics that we've discussed before, which is exactly what you've said, Lloyd, is the Quran was not meant to be about Islam, Muhammad, and all of those things, but very much about Jesus. We can say very Christian, maybe Christian-ish, but certainly not Islamic. So we're going to start actually with something that Usama brought up last time. So that's going to be very exciting.
See, Usama, you do have a contribution to make. It. I'd never believed what they were saying about you.
Brother, here's the truth. I repeat again before all these wonderful audience, I am honored to be here in this panel just to learn. And if I can contribute with a little bit, hey, a little salt make food taste good, you know?
You do contribute, Usama.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, Mel, welcome. Maybe over to you.
Welcome. Well, the audio is breaking up my end. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone has got to say, and hopefully I can throw something into the mix.
Great. So really honored to have you here, though. Thank you. Odon, welcome.
No, thank you, Lloyd. Hello, everyone. Also very happy to be with such a such a band of brothers. Wow.
Amen.
Nice.
That's good.
Nice. Yeah. Odon and I were talking today. We might be discussing some material and going through the early history of the Bible. And we might convene another panel, which I think would be very, very interesting. And this is partly inspired by JC's work. And it obviously has helped because we have Usama who speaks the Arabic, which is fantastic. So JC, over to you. Let's get started. And hello to the audience. Thank you all for being here tonight. Please like, do share, and of course subscribe.
Right, so we're going to start with exactly the same section as always, but very quickly, because now people who are used to, who are regular to the channel, they would have seen this like 5 or 6 times, which is the Quran has 2 different sections. The text itself, it actually talks all about Jesus. It says that Jesus died. It says that he resurrected. It says that Jesus is God, or at least it seems to say that. It affirms the Trinity. And the text has no idea about a guy called Mohammed walking around in the Hijaz. That's actually not in the text. And the fact that Makkah appears once and Mohammed 4 times, that should be a really real red flag that there is more to that story. Also, 2 of the instances of Muhammad, they're in the past tense. So that should be enough for people to realize that there is a little bit more to that. So the bottom layer, what the text says, is all about that. It's what you would say very Christian. However, when we read the Quran, what we read is the top layer, is a tafsir layer, stories that have been superimposed on the text, and those stories are all about Muhammad. Jesus is all of a sudden not God, despite of being called the Word of God and so on. It denies the Trinity, and also it speaks about itself as a revelation. Those things are not in the text. They are in the interpretation of the text, which is superimposed on what it actually said. So hopefully today we can see more verses that show that this is exactly what happened. The bottom layer was very Christian, top layer, nothing to do with what the book actually says.
Yeah, if you don't mind, brother, I'll just share a quick thought here. It is not Mecca, which is mentioned once in the Quran, but Becca. I love it how Muslim tried to correct me when I pronounce the Quran in wrong pronunciation according to their wishes or according to their way of seeing the Quran, even though we know that the original Quran did not have any vowels, the O and A and E and none of that. So obviously I can say whatever I want to say, and the proof is very simple. You look at the interpretation of scholars of Islam, you see that they always say there's disagreement about the reading of that word or how somebody else recited different than other, which will bring a different meaning. So is it Becca, the valley of Buka, the valley of weeping, which is a biblical place, or is it Mecca? It's not Mecca. I'm sorry, I never saw Mecca once in the Quran, but Becca. Go ahead.
Yep. So let's see. And actually, so last time, this is something that Usama actually brought up, and I thought it was the right place where to begin. This is just an extract of Surah 9, verse 31. This is from the translation from Murad, which reads something like, they took their rabbis and their monks as lords apart from Allah and the Messiah. Sometimes Murad in 5 places, actually, instead of translating this as and, he will write plus, just to let people know that it's not starting a new sentence. You don't start with the Messiah, the Son of Mary, and they were not commanded. He's making sure that you understand that these two are associated. So, as lords apart from Allah and the Messiah. So this is a verse that Usama brought up, and if I remember correctly, Usama, you said that the translators, when they get to this verse, they all translated very, very, very well.
Yep, that's what they do. They're trying to change the doctrine of the teaching of the Quran for no reason. And they can use some excuse like, well, you know, some scholar, I'm sorry, some poet, and quote me a poetry. I'm sorry, I don't read the Quran because of how some other poet, a little bit in date, late date, read the verse. If you don't mind, I'll read it from my translation myself. It's a little bit different than Murad translation, but it's almost the same. And my translation is 17 years old. So here's what I wrote about that verse some years ago. And it says here, once again, they take their rabbis and their monks as lords rather than Allah and the Christ. The word is what is and the Son of Mary. But besides that, it is word for word. He's a word plus, he's a word and.
Right. And then that begs the question, what is this verse actually saying? Is it saying that Allah and the Messiah is Lord? Is it saying that Allah is Lord and the Messiah is Lord? Or what exactly? A moment later it says one deity, but does this mean that they have 2 lords in Islam, which is also a word they use for God? Any
That's
thoughts?
true. That's true. And I will read it in Arabic, by the way, for those who do not think that this is an accurate translation. And it says here, اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا من دون الله والمسيح ابن مريم. So word for word, Murad translation, my translation is 100% accurate. وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا, listen to this, وما أمروا, and they were not commanded except to worship or to serve one God. لا إله إلا هو, there's no God except He. Subhanahu عما يشركون, which means, even though Muhammad mentioned 2, Allah and the Christ, Son of Mary, but he also talked about one God in the same verse. If that is the Muhammad's writing, of course. Whoever wrote that verse. So he talk about one God, 2 persons. That's a problem. That's a problem. And of course, if we add the Spirit of Allah, which written all over the Quran, and I love it, how Muslim scholars came up with, I don't know, 30 different interpretations. What is the Spirit of Allah? And they come up with all this weird interpretation. I'm sorry. The Spirit of Allah is eternal, like the word of Allah is eternal, who is Christ, Son of Mary. And therefore, we believe in one God in 3 persons.
Are you sure, absolutely sure of the meaning in Arabic, Usama? Because I don't want to be nitpicking, but for me, there is room for another explanation. This is not the definition of Orthodox Christianity. This could refer to a sort of Christianity, a sort of Christian faith, in which Jesus is recognized as a higher being, a Lord, but it does not explicitly say that he is God incarnate. You see that there is room for a difference between this and Orthodox Christianity.
Orthodox Christianity, from the beginning of Christianity, from the writing of the disciples, the apostles, until today, it is one God who expresses himself in the three persons, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And we can talk about that in long talk to prove it from the biblical teaching, Old Testament and New Testament. But I do not want to change the topic into that. We'll let our brother continue with the subject. We can carry this in another broadcast, okay?
So to that, I would say, Odon, that you're absolutely right. The interpretation of the verse could be a number of things, including that the word Lord and the word God, even now they use them as one, but not in the past. But that would be if there are no other verses that say that Jesus is the creator, and there are verses that say that Jesus is the creator. So because of that, I would lean towards thinking that this was more of a Trinitarian sense. Of course, we're missing the spirit in here, but still, like Usama said, two persons, one deity. It's getting pretty close to the Trinity.
Yeah,
and
it's close, but
could I add something to the discussion, that there are a lot of inscriptions in the 6th century that use the formula God and his Messiah, and we have the Jewish version of that, which is equivalent to God and the Mohamed. So I think this passage here is drawing from that common tradition, and it's interesting. It's coming from Yemen, which would fit in with a lot of what Lloyd has been saying as well. So just want to throw that in.
Yeah, great. And what I would add is, if anybody has a problem with this argument and they think that that is not what it means, I would suggest that they go and they argue this with the Christian Prince, because I actually heard this argument from him. So if anybody has the balls to do that, they can go and do it. So playing that card
for
right
sure.
there. And just to then quote last thing. So this is actually saying that Jesus is actually more than just a mere messenger. And if I can quote the Grand Ibn Kathir, this is not a bug, it's a feature. This is what we see throughout the Quran again and again, and we're going to see that he is Lord. Now, one of the reasons to see that the meaning is something they are embarrassed about is the same reason that Usama mentioned they get this wrong. This is just a list of all of the translations that we find in Quranics.com. So all of the ones in red, you can see they got it wrong. The ones in green, they are passable or okay. So very often it will be like this one. Ahmad Ali, they consider the rabbis and monks and the Christ to be gods apart from God. It's like, that's not what it says. Or they will add also.
Well, just pause a moment. That Ahmad Ali, to be gods apart from God, this could also be a rebuke. He could be interpreting that as a rebuke of tritheism, where it's three separate gods. He's saying, no, it's one God.
But you cannot take words out of order in the Arabic language when you translate them. You will become a cult, like a Jehovah's Witness. Put a period in the wrong place, which it makes sense in English for your doctrine, but it does not make sense in the Greek. You're changing the structure of the sentence in the Greek language to put period in the wrong place. You have to put the period in the right place. So it is in Arabic. Let me read again the Arabic language for that verse. It's very clear. اتخذوا أحبارهم ورهبانهم أربابا. They took their monk and their rabbis as lords. من دون الله والمسيح, rather than or without, rather than Allah and the Christ, Son of Mary. You cannot take the Christ, the Son of Mary, at the end of the sentence and you add it to the first two people, the first two groups, so you can make your doctrine fit. That is not translation. This is what I call fabrication.
So it seems to say that Jesus and God are joined as one God.
And the monk and the monks and the rabbis are two separate teams. They took these two people rather than these two identity, or these two characters. That is the actual wording in the Arabic language. If you want to move one from here and put it here, I'm sorry, that's wrong. I can say, okay, they consider the rabbi as Lord instead of the monks, Christ, the Son of Mary, and God. You see now I did? I took one from here and added here. That's wrong. That's not translation. That's bad. You have to put it as it says in the Arabic language. And the Arabic is very clear.
Comment.
Monks and rabbi instead of Christ and Allah.
To hint at something we were saying earlier, remember we spoke about the Karaites who were translating. They took all of the Jewish materials, all the Jewish literature, and they were translating it into Arabic. So maybe someone did a bad job, or maybe someone misunderstood the nuance from the Jewish concepts. But I mean, but I know we can't find an early Arabic Bible in what, the 8th century or something, but these guys were translating pieces of the Bible, at least sections of it over time. So that Arabic Bible could well have been in place before and then destroyed. I mean, the Muslims are known for that.
And we know from some of the early writing of Islam that Waraq ibn Nawfal was working on translating the Quran, the Bible, some part of the New Testament into Arabic. So the translation of the Bible is an old thing. It's happening, but obviously, you'll be surprised. Maybe in the near future, you're going to see some passages out of the Bible translated in older manuscript in the Arabic language, which may be a part of Matthew, a part of Luke, a part of the writing of the Apostle. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, another thing that actually suggests that they knew what this text actually said is that we have the ones in green. The ones in green and the ones in red, they completely disagree with one another, because the ones in green, they're right. They're actually saying they took the rabbis and the monks apart from God and the Messiah. Sometimes this one, for example, adds a comma just to try to do something minimum. Maybe he was not being paid too much at the time to disguise this. But other people, they actually get it right. So they know what the meaning is. The ones that they actually change the order and suddenly you have something different, it has to be done on purpose. Like Usama said, this is something that translators would know. So there you go. So now we have more and more evidence of these things happening and them knowing that there is a problem here. This is a good way to seeing when there are problems with the Quran, when the scholars or the translators, they change things, they know there is a problem and they're trying to hide it. And
look at the comment I just added. Maybe the Karaites put polemics into the text they translated. I think we have evidence that I've covered at length, and Odon knows about it as well. I've covered it on my channel as well. When you look at the Masoretic text recension that the Karaites were producing along with the Rabbinite Jews, it does strip Jesus's divinity out. It does take the prophecies out. It does make polemical changes. So let's not consider this proven as to their motive, but we know for a fact there are differences. And I mean, this is not an unsubstantiated claim. There seems to be evidence for it.
Mm-hmm. So in here, I'm not going to go through those. Hilali Khan, by the way, look at the size of his translations. He's hilarious. But anyway, so all of these are just wrong. And I think this is the last page. One of them here gets it right. Good lad. Everybody else gets it wrong. And the actual meaning of the verse changes. Can you imagine? If you actually read any of these translations, you are not getting what the Arabic says at all. And for an obvious reason. So we have just established Jesus is Lord, or Allah and the Messiah are one Lord, or there are two Lords, probably two personas, two Lords. Let's see what else we find. So this is now, because we've seen now that Jesus is described as Lord together with Allah, then we can explore things a little bit further. For example, here, Surah 4, verse 1, the very start. O mankind, fear your Lord who created you from one soul and created blah, 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 within the same verse, and fear Allah. So if we are not aware of the Quran being very, well, Christian, and Surah 9, verse 31, we would interpret this as this is saying, fear Allah, and a moment later, it says again, fear Allah. But now we have two personas in this verse. One is the Lord who creates, and then fear Allah. Let's put it in an example. If I said, Lloyd, fear your boss who pays your salary, and fear Bob, you would know that your boss and Bob are two different people, because, you know, they have just been described like this. So this is, once we see that Jesus is hidden in many of these verses, some of them successfully, some not so much, we can then say, hang on a minute, when it says here Lord, is that supposed to be Allah or the Messiah? If Allah appears later, then this will be the Messiah.
Exactly. Very, very, very powerful point, by the way. We have this in several verses in the Quran where Allah will be speaking, and then he have another statement about Allah in the third person. So if Allah is speaking in the verse and Allah speak on him on the behalf of himself in the third person, that's something unusual. In the Bible, we understand that that is the Father and that is the Son, or that is the Son and that is the Holy Spirit, or that is the Father and that's the Holy Spirit, the three persons of God. And we can understand it from a Christian perspective. From a Jewish perspective, you could not figure out why the Bible said that. The Lord said to my Lord, sit on my right hand. How can David said, does the Lord sit to my Lord? How many Lord are there? There's only one. So who is the Lord said to the Lord? We know that the Father said to the Son. You see, we understand it from a Christian perspective. Jewish people do not, even though it's in their writings, it's in their books. Okay, and we talk about maybe Daniel 7, the Son of Man, and the Father, same thing. I love it how Muslims do. Oh, here we go. Jesus is the Son of Man. He said he's not God. No, you don't understand what is the Son of Man according to Daniel 7. But anyway, so here you see, fear Allah and fear Allah. It's the same sentence repeating itself. I can take it within a Christian perspective, with a Christian understanding, how we interpret the Bible, the hermeneutics of the New Testament and the Old Testament as well, that yes, the one God, the one we talked about even in 931, but there are at least here two persons, the Father and the Son.
And rightly so. So, and then another example of this is Surah 6, verse 101. This verse is used so many times because it creates a contradiction. It says, originator of the heavens and the earth, how could he have a son when he does not have a companion, and he created all things, and he is of all things knowing? The problem with that one, and Christian apologists really use this one a lot, is so Allah is questioning his power. Why can he not have a son without a companion? He requires a companion to have a son. He's not all powerful. Now, of course, this is a problem, and Muslims will say, oh no, because, you know, contradictions. This is simple. Just think for a second. The Quran talks about Jesus as the Word of God. We have seen him now being referred to as Lord, and in Surah 4, verse 1, the difference between the Lord who creates and Allah. So if we think, could this be about Jesus? Well, imagine this. If it says Jesus, the Word of God who created everything, how could he have a son if he didn't have a companion? This is past tense, by the way. If he didn't have a companion, all of a sudden, there is no contradiction. We would know that this is talking about an actual event of Jesus not having descendants. He didn't have a companion. He was on a mission. So that problem that is created in Islam with Allah questioning his own power is not there once we realize that the book was pretty much about Jesus with many of the attributes of him.
All right, I would like to add one very important verse which fit with what you're saying. If you go to Quran chapter 3, verse 47, can you open my Quran if you don't mind, Lloyd, please?
347.
347. What did Allah say there?
I'll just share my screen. Give me 1 sec. 347.
Same thing. I mean, we can go.
Touch me.
Yeah.
Here it is. 347. She said, my Lord, how can I have a son when no man has touched me? He said, likewise, Allah creates what he wills. When he makes a command, so he surely only says to it, be, and so it will be.
That is marriage. Said, I don't have a husband. How can I have a son? Well, it's easy. If for Allah, it's very easy. If he wants something to happen, he just say a command. Excuse me. If you want to have a son, he just say a command. He doesn't need to have a wife. Like Mary does not need to have a husband or a male to get her pregnant. So why? And we're talking about the same thing here. If Allah desires something, in simple words, and there's other verses as well. I'm not going to waste the time of the program to cover all of them. If Allah desires something, He just said to it be, Well, if Allah chooses to have a son, he just said to himself, I want to have a son. Here is a son on the spot. Why not? That's my question. Why not?
Be son, and then the son is. Simple.
Sure. Done. Yeah.
Right.
So this makes sense if, or rather, there is no contradiction, no problem whatsoever if it is Jesus, and if it is Allah, well, you know, a contradiction that Christian apologists.
Can I jump in? Because I completely disagree with you on on 601. How could he have a son when he does not have a companion? The word for son here is walad. Walad is not any son. Walad is a biological son, which implies the physical act of making a baby.
Sure.
And this is what is addressed here. It is I think it is an argument against Christians mocking their faith in Jesus being the Son of God, as if he would be a biological son of God. And please consider that every argument against the Christian faith about the Jesus being the Son of Christ, the Son of God in the Quran, the word walad is used. It's always the word walad, biological son. There is another word in Arabic for son. It's ibn. It's used in verse 930. And the Nazarene says Jesus is Ibn Allah, Son of God. You see, it's not the same here. So I don't think this verse 601 refers to Jesus as not having a son, but it refers to God as he cannot have a son because God cannot make the physical act with Mary. And you see, there is a bit of slander also in the argument. It implies that the Christian would believe that Mary slept with God, which is the core of the argument here.
Right, that actually may very well may be the case. I think I saw an argument from, I think it was in Gabriel Reynolds' channel, if I remember correctly, with one guy actually saying exactly that the problem with walad is that every time in the Quran is saying that, so it is about biological son. So I haven't explored that word, but I think you might be on the money on that one. So
and besides, when you said that this is a way to respond to every Muslim critique of the Christian faith, the easiest way to reply to them is that no Christian believes that God slept with Mary. We use the analogy father and son as an analogy. Jesus is the Son of God, but it is an analogy. He's not the biological Son of God. Of course, he is not. We use this analogy to help us understand the spiritual dimension of the relation between God and God the Father and Jesus the Son. And it's also an argument against the Muslim faith, because it tells that the Quran does not understand the Christian faith. The Quran presents a fake Christian faith, because the Christian faith is not about believing that God slept with Mary. Of course not. But the Quran portrays it this way nonetheless.
Yeah, maybe the confusion was because they thought that people were created from a liquid emanating from between the backbone and the ribs. So I think we shouldn't really take their word as to how babies are made. So one of the interesting things that I find here is the tense, because all translators should get it right every time. Is the tense, you just translate it as it is. But when we check at the translators, basically everyone gets it wrong. Once again, we'll have all of these ones here. The ones in green are okay, but normally they will be in the present tense or something like that. He has no mate, he does not have a spouse, he has no consort, and then all of the red ones are wrong, all of the green ones are okay, or passable at the very least. When we see these things, they know there is a problem, they don't want to put God in time in the past tense, so they just say he doesn't have a companion. It's like, come on, just at least be truthful to what the book actually says.
Can I?
So happy with that. And now the one.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, of course. There we go.
Yeah, I see a kind of an obtuse reflection of Genesis 1 and 2 in that line. So, for example, the first part of it, I think, is referencing Genesis 1. I have it here, that just to quote it. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. The only thing they've changed is basically the originator of the heavens and the earth. It's just slightly changed. And I think the second part of it is actually a reference to Genesis 2:18. The Lord God said, it's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him. So in that line there, it implies that Adam cannot reproduce if he's left alone. Do you get me? So
it's a paraphrase.
It
tries to summarize a longer argument, so it's a paraphrase and a poor paraphrase as well.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It could be kind of.
That's interesting, Mel.
It could be looking at Jesus. It could be looking at Jesus through the perspective of Genesis' focus on Adam. So Adam is there as the lonely guy who doesn't have a companion. But
all right,
how can he reproduce if he doesn't have a companion? And then it could be looking through that at Jesus. That's I think that kind of strong thing.
Yeah, but could it be a polemic? Ower asks you, could it be a polemic against another group also? So an argument that's ongoing as well, because that's something we discussed as well, different groups arguing amongst each other inside the Quran.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I have a quick numbers here to share with you. The word Walad Allah is mentioned 0 in the Bible. The word Ibn Allah mentioned actually 49 times. It's all in the New Testament. So the word Ibn, son, is mentioned 1,605. When I mention it because you can go to the Bible and you see Ibn used for a physical son as well, not just Walad. Yeah, it can be used as Walad or Ibn. Adam, like for example, in Genesis 4:17, and Cain knew his wife and she got pregnant and she birthed Hanuk, and he used to build the city, which he named after his son name. His word Ibn here, not Walad. Even though Waladat means which she birthed him, that is a physical thing, which our brother was talking a minute ago. But he named the city Ka'ismi Ibnihi, his son Hanuk. So, and they're like as I said, 1,005 times. Now in the Quran, the word walad is mentioned 11 times, and it talk about people, or it talk about what do you call this? Son of God, Jesus, or the Christ, son of Mary. Now, Ibn, obviously, I need to look at this one. If you don't mind, guys, give me a second here. I need to look for the word Ibn to see how many times the word Ibn. That's the last one. I will look here, Control C. I'll go here quickly, and we're going to, I cannot do that. I have to write it by hand. So here is Ibn, Alif, Ba, Noon. And the number is, ladies and gentlemen, the word Ibn is mentioned in the Quran 68 times. And obviously, like Ibn Maryam, the son of Mary, or Abna'akum, your sons. And it is always mentioned for the male, not for the female, because we have the word bint in the Arabic language, which means the daughter of. All right, this is some statistics. I don't know will help or not. We'll see.
I think it's actually very interesting.
I'm sorry, brother.
Yeah, that they know the difference, so that's actually very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, the thing to remember here is that there is a difference between Walad and Ibn. Walad is the one who has been birthed, so with a physical conception and a physical birth. And Ibn,
sure,
it is any kind of son, so it can refer to an analogical son, like Jesus, son of God.
And if you adopt a son, you say this is Ibni. You cannot say that's waladi. Ibni, because he's your son by adoption. Ibni is adoption. Waladi is come from birth, because yalid or talid, it is the verb action for that. So when my wife, she was pregnant and she waladat, when means she burst, and that is the word idea of the physical birth. Yeah.
You also see my point about this this verse and all the verses with Jesus being Walad Allah. It is a slander against the Christian faith.
We don't have it.
It mocks the Christian faith.
Yes. It is always Ibn Allah, not Walad Allah.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons I think that Jesus is not depicted in the Quran as he is in the Christian faith. Otherwise, there wouldn't be any need for the Quran to slander the Christian faith.
Just an FYI, I mean, this is a paper that I've covered briefly on my channel in the past. I should actually do a longer talk, but Arabia, the Bearer of Heresies, Schismatic Christianity's potential influence on Muhammad and the Quran. Because a lot of schismatics, when they were kicked out of Rome and when Christianity became a legal religion in Rome, they ended up in Haran, in Alexandria, and in southern Arabia, in Najran. Yeah, just as a point of interest, it might be. So there was exposure to this kind of schismatic Christianity as well. Arabia was the region of exile for heretical doctrines and schismatic. So, so there's definitely some overlap there.
I remember this paper. We discussed it when we had this stream on the Mushrikun. Maybe you remember, Lloyd. And this is the thing. We have different kind of Christian faces competing in Arabia.
Yep.
And elsewhere also.
Yep. Yeah, Mel's having some internet issues. He's got a storm in his area, so his connection is a bit unstable.
Okay. So let's see what else we've got. So the one as well we've discussed a couple of times, and Usama brought up as well last time, which is about the verse that Jesus died. So we have these 3 verses in the Quran. 2 of them are saying that Jesus will die in the future, and 1 is in the past. So we are not going to go through this once again. We're going to see just how they are very grossly mistranslated. But it does look like 2 of them.
There's another one, brother, in the present time. Inni mutawafika, I am causing you to die. Present tense, it's about something is about to happen, not in the future, 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later. Inni mutawafika wa rafaka alayya, I am causing you to die and I will raise you up to me. Notice order, mutawafika, present tense, and rafaka, and raise you up. And we know that Quran 5, 116, 117, Allah is speaking to Isa in heaven. That means the statement in the verb mutawafika in the present tense already took place. For how can you skip the present tense and you go to the future tense without fulfilling the present tense? It does not make any sense in the Arabic grammar.
Right. So that would mean these 2 verses would be pre-crucifixion, and then the 3rd one being post-crucifixion. And yes, this is what Usama said. So here is actually all of the instances of this appearing in Corpus Quran. And as we can see, every single time is pass away, to die, to pass away, every time, except the verses that talk about Jesus, 5:117 and 3:55, when as if by magic, it means I will take you and I will raise you. So, but I think
or gather you. In other translation, I gather you. It's like, wait a minute, I did not know that Isa, son of Mary, was falling apart. Gather him, lift him up. This is not translation. These people do not have a bone, one bone in their body with honesty. They are great fabricators, not translators.
This form mutawaf actually means 3 things. It means dead, very dead, and the dodo levels of dead. Is just always the same meaning. But when we get to here, we see how they just don't want to actually say what it is. So we've seen already Jesus being Lord, and they try to ignore that that's in there. And now we have Jesus dying, and also they try to move away. This also tells us how they actually wrote the stories to justify these verses when they will say, Elijah speaking to Jesus in the future tense, he will cause him to die at the end of times when he fights the Antichrist or whatever. There will be excuses made up in order to try to convince people that this word doesn't mean that he would die, when it is in every single case. It means that there is no other way. I would like to see Christian apologists using this argument more and see what happens.
Yeah, and even in the scholars' interpretations, they will tell you Jesus died. He died for 3 hours. He died for 7 hours. He died for sometimes. Excuse me, why he will die twice? If he's going to come back in the future to break the cross and kill the pigs and become a good prophet like Mohamed, maybe have a wife 9 years old, whatever, and be like follows the morality of Mohammed, the noble example, why he died first? I mean, scholars of Islam said that he died when he took him up. Can he take him up alive?
It depends on the scholar, because they all say something different. It's a bit about creating confusion. I think they just create all of the stories that they can, and then depending on the situation, they will play one or another. The same with the crucifixion. There are stories, no, it was a shadow, no, it was an icon, no, it was Judas, no, it was another guy called Jesus. It was like anything.
These competing tafsirs, right? Let me just show this. These competing tafsirs. Is it really necessarily random interpretations, or is it that you've got interpretations from different Christological groups, heretical groups? Like this paper says it's probable that the Quran reflects some of the competing Christologies among Christian schismatics in Arabia at the time of Muhammad. So these different tafsirs could actually just be the views from different viewpoints.
But
from different
what do you do? Brother Lloyd, I disagree with you. What do you do when Al-Tabari used Ibn Abbas 6 times in the same verse to give you 6 different opinions about the same verse?
They're just throwing out different things from different groups. They're collecting stuff. Maybe they're making it up.
Say Ibn Abbas. So he would talk so and so and so on Ibn Abbas. And Ibn Abbas, that when we go to Ibn Abbas, he is the ink of the scholars. He is literally, when you use a pen to write, you dip it in the ink, that is Ibn Abbas. So he used Ibn Abbas. This is all over the Quran interpretation. He used Ibn Abbas to give you different opinion on the same verse. That does not make any sense. That is, Al-Tabari was drunk. He did not realize that he's quoting Ibn Abbas many times with different contradictory opinion, or neither Al-Tabari and Ibn Abbas know jack about Islam.
I mean, I think they also didn't think anyone's going to question them. They had such authority. No one's going to question them. Just believe.
Yeah. I discovered from Brother Yusuf just last week, Muslims in the Muslim world, in the Arab world, do not read scholars' interpretation. They don't.
Yeah.
They have no idea what
point the guy makes here. He says, in one instance, the Quran views Christianity as teaching modalism, assuming that Jesus comprised the entire Godhead, Surah 572. The next verse describes Christians as tritheists, assigning Jesus to one of 3 gods. And the same surah contends that the Christian Trinity is God, Jesus, and Mary. I mean, there's a lot of confusion going on in the book itself.
Same book, same chapter, same
chapter, yeah.
But it doesn't talk about Christian in these verses. It talks about Nazarenes.
Exactly. But I mean, sure, but I mean, the guy's highlighting just an interesting point. I mean,
it's very relevant.
Yes. Yeah, but scholars of Islam, they will think that Nasara are the Christians.
Yeah.
They're forced to.
That's confusing. The whole thing.
I think the Sabi are Christians as well, so.
Yeah, well, Jesus is Son of God, and he died and resurrected for our sins, according to Ibn Abbas. So you see, two can play at this game. So let's see what else we got. And by the way, so the obvious one, the one verse that every Muslim will know is the one that says that they didn't kill the Messiah, and is okay. That is actually even compatible with the Bible. When Jesus says that no one can take his life, he lays it down. So even the verse that Muslims go to say, you see, Jesus didn't die, it doesn't say that he didn't die. It says they didn't kill him. There is a big difference, and it's actually quite compatible with the Bible. But let's have a look at what our friends, the translators, actually say. No one gets it right. Actually, yes, I think there is one that will get it right. I will take you to myself, I shall take your soul. This is just for Surah 3, verse 55. This one gets it right. I shall make thee die. Actually, that's nice, lad. I think everyone else,
Yeah.
I will take you, I will recall you, I will save you from your enemies. So if I say to Usama, I will mutawafa you, does it mean I'm going to save you from your enemies? Oh boy.
That is the present tense verse, which have also the future in the same verse. So 350, that's the one I was talking about a minute ago. I did not know you have it in your presentation. I'm sorry. I sometimes I rush and I wish I wait I see the people have the information right. But 355 in my translation said here, quickly I read, when Allah said, "O Isa, surely I am causing you to die, and I am raising you up to me, and purifying you from those who became infidels, and makes those who follow you above those who became infidels until the resurrection day." It's amazing. This verse it's a huge problem for Muslims, because if Jesus is raised up, and the order of 355 that he must die first and then he will raise up, so why you reject his death? But then even the rest of the verse, the Christians or those who follow him will be above those who disbelieve in him, the infidels of him, until the day of resurrection, which did not come yet. So where are the true Christians who follow Isa, son of Mary, if all of us Christians of all our denomination believe that he died and he rose again? That's a problem. That's a problem.
I'm going to show a map in a second, and that's going to be fun because we're going to address that one and just see exactly how silly that the argument of this verse is, the interpretation from the tafsirs, of course. So this guy gets it wrong, and then this guy's wrong, and Talalitani actually says, "I am terminating your life," so that one gets it right. So it's like some of them, actually all of them, know the meaning, but only some of them are paid enough to lie about it, which is interesting.
But even Talal got it wrong, because terminating is yunhi. The word is not yunhi. The word yatawaffa. Inni mutawaffika. Laysa munhika. If there's a word in Arabic. So obviously, you cannot use the word terminate. That's not accurate translation. Because a Muslim can say he terminated his position on earth by taking him up to heaven. So his job here is finished. No, he died here before he took him up to heaven.
It's because Jesus said, "I'll be back."
Exactly.
I just wonder if anybody at one point they actually thought they were going to make Jesus die and resurrect, so basically on the third day, and the Christians were going to be the successful up to that point for 3 days. I wonder if one of these early guys were considering to try to shoehorn this in the text, but maybe not. I don't know. So, and the same with Surah 5, verse 117. We have this one gets it right, or at least directionally correct, and then wrong, you raised me, and again, you took me up, you did recall me, you raised me up. This one gets it almost right, although he makes it sound fancy, and again and again and again.
Wrong between
Mostly wrong.
You took me, you raised me, or I made you die. It's not an easy mistake to make.
This is mistakes on purpose, Lloyd. This, I'm sorry, if the guy does not know the difference between akhastani wa tawaffaytani, these two words, if you don't know the difference between akhastani and tawaffaytani, I'm sorry, you are disqualified to translate anything.
No, it's not a mistake.
I can take your sons to my house, or I can kill your son. Are these the same?
No.
Hello? You cannot take me to court because I got your son to my house, fed him dinner, and played with my children, and went to bed, and in the morning I bring him back. But if I kill your son, oh, that's a different story.
Yeah, but it's done on purpose. It's not a mistake. It's the same with as-sakina. The interpretation forced the tradition is to invent this meaning.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Islam could not stand.
No.
Islam
Brother, if we have
on
done,
such, misinterpretations.
If we have done what Muslims do to these verses in the Quran and in other else, they will jump on us. How dare are you? You distort the word of Allah when they do it in the most important facts about the Quran.
Yeah, what we learn from all of this is the people who gave us the book are different to the people who gave us Islam. The people who gave us Islam, they keep changing, or they try to hide the meaning of the book, which would actually show how their religion is not compatible with the book that they say comes from God. If the book, if they said no, but the book really comes from God. Okay, Jesus died and Jesus is Lord. No, we can't have that. So let me tell you how mutawafika now means something else. It's very, very silly. So that's why I say all of this conspiracy goes many layers deep. Every single scholar knows this. Every single Arabic speaker with an IQ not in double digits knows this.
Yeah. And when you say scholar, I say you don't have to be scholar to figure out there's some errors there. You just speak Arabic and know English. Good enough. You figure out somebody. I love what Yusuf said. My friend Yusuf, he's from Saudi. He's been involved in our midst now for almost a year. He said one of the reasons it caused him to be uncomfortable or he did not like the lies they put in the Quran. Why you lie when you translate the Quran?
Yeah. And you can actually play a little bit with how you make it sound, say if you're not doing a super literal translation, but the meaning, you have to carry the meaning. So these people are meant to be professional translators. They certainly know the meaning of those words. And we can see some of them, they actually get it right, and then they would have to explain things away. But yeah, this is a huge cover up, and basically everybody knows. This is like the elephant in the room. So
exactly.
Jesus is Lord, Jesus died. The Book of Islam is not really about Islam. So
just a question, JC and Usama. Do you believe that Arabic speakers who read the Quran in Arabic understand these passages literally, or do they understand them as they are supposed to understand them in an Islamic fashion?
Here's a fact. Muslims do not question the Quran. They don't question the authority of their imams or the scholars of Islam. I actually talk to some imams who tell me I'm not a scholar. I just follow what the scholar said. Excuse me. You don't need to be a scholar. You need to know what you're reading. Sadly, there are plenty of people who memorize the Quran in the Arab world, and they do not understand jack about what they're memorizing. Worse than that, they're foreigners. Pakistani, Indonesian, Afghani, Malaysian, and people from all over Africa. They memorize the Quran in the Arabic language, and they recite it better than I can ever do, and they have no idea. It's just because they're foreigners. They don't speak the Arabic language. They memorize it in the Arabic language. Imagine with me, memorizing the entire New Testament in the Greek, and you don't know good morning in Greek. It's mind-blowing. And I want to say quickly something before I forget. The great evidence of the lies on purpose. All Muslims who speak Arabic and speak English, they translate Allahu Akbar by saying God is great. Even though they know the word Akbar means bigger. And they continue to lie and spread that lie to the point that now all the people of the West who speak English and do not know Arabic, they will say when Muslims shout Allahu Akbar, they mean, or they said, God is great. No, the word great in the Arabic language is Azim, not Akbar, because Akbar is bigger. It has something to do with size. You will never find in the Bible once God is Akbar. Akbar from who? Akbar from what? So you have Akbar, bigger, Asghar, smaller, Azim, great. The word Allah Azim is not in the Quran, but somehow they make it in the Quran by using the word Allahu Akbar. That is deception in the biggest level of it. Because if the Muslims say Allahu Akbar, that means actually they are making the God is bigger. People will laugh at them, like the Shahada. When every Muslim, you ever see the Muslim says the Shahada and they say, repeat after me, for the British and the French and the German and the American, whatever, repeat after me, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu anna la ilaha illallah, Ashhadu Muhammad, and then they say in English, I bear witness. No, they don't say I bear witness. I believe there's no God except Allah. Excuse me. You did not say an Amեն. You said an Ashhad. I bear witness, not I believe. Why does he lie? Because if you say I bear witness, any foreigners with common sense, wait a minute, I've never seen Allah. I never heard of Muhammad. I never smelled them. I never touched them. So it's a false witness. But they lie to make Islam acceptable to the West. When in reality, as you know the Arabic language, it's nonsense. It's lies. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think it's
you.
lies and auto-deception. Some of them lie, and some of them are so deeply into Islam that they cannot reason. They for example, they know that Rasul means apostate, someone who has been sent, an apostle.
Messenger.
No, it doesn't mean messenger. It means apostle. A messenger is a nabi. A nabi is a messenger.
Nabi is the word Arabic nabi in the Arabic language, which is a prophet.
Yeah,
you can play a game.
A prophet, in etymologically speaking, is someone who has a message from God. But a Rasul is someone who has been sent. Someone who has been sent is not a messenger per se; it is an apostle. But the Islamic interpretation of things is so deeply imprinted in the Muslim mind that they cannot think straight, and they, even though the word means this, they think no, it means that, and they genuinely think it means that and not this.
Yeah,
you remember it's the same. It's a discussion we had with Adam Seeker about Dalika. This other book, that book, except that, and they read it as it is, as it would mean this book, but something has happened in the mind due to Islam, and the reason is gone, the understanding is gone, and all is left is an Islamic understanding that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. By the way, the word Azim is mentioned in the Quran 107 times, and I guarantee you, they all translated right. I guarantee it. I don't want to change the subject. Let's hold on my stuff about that when we finish our study for today.
Yeah, and just to address what the question from Odon, I think it's a question probably for psychologists. What I think, my 2 pence, is that they use the punishment reward system very well. So if you're a kid growing up in an Arabic country, the moment that you say, hey, why is it that in here it says that Jesus died? You're going to be caned by your imam, your teacher, your father, or anyone who is around. You're going to learn never to bring up that topic again. And then you just become a person who recites everything just like you've been told, not to question anything, because you associate questioning with punishment, and that's it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's no matter of psychology. Islam hijacks reason.
What is reason? That word does not exist in the Quranic vocabulary.
Yeah, logic and reason.
No, we don't know that. That is, if you're gonna think, you're gonna come up with bid'ah, which is invention, and every invention from hell. And man, you don't want to go back to hell, do you?
Yeah. This is exactly the mechanism of Islam. It's you cannot be logical. You cannot think within Islam because you cannot have haram thoughts. And in order to be logical, you need to think to think both sides of a problem. And in Islam, you cannot do it. It's forbidden. It's haram. So you cannot think. You cannot properly think.
Asked Ibn Abbas. Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right, brother. They asked Ibn Abbas about the 7 earths. He said, if I told you, you become an infidel. Imagine that. They went to the scholar, the ink of Islam, and say, help us, teach us about the 7 earths. And he told them, yes, there's 7 earths above each other. And each one of them have Adam, and every one of them have Abraham, and each one of them have Isa, and every one of them has Muhammad. So you're going to question it? If you don't believe in that, you become an infidel. If you're going to question it, you become an infidel. So it will be better for Muslims to not know the answer for their question, because you cannot use the logic and common sense say, that does not make any sense. That is foolishness.
Yes, punishment, and then, yes, fear. The fear that, okay, so if I say this or if I question this, I'm going to be punished. They're going to tell me I'm going to be an apostate. I'm going to lose everything in my life, maybe my life. I'm going to hell. It's like you learn to keep your mouth shut, basically.
Exactly.
So, Jesus, did they hide Jesus? Well, let's look at this map, and I do apologize in advance for my lack of artistic skill, but map of the earth. So during the time of Mohammed, Christianity would have been roughly on all of this area, right?
Oh, come on.
And then
much wider.
we are, yes, much wider.
My friend. To the east, there were Christians in Iran, Christian in India, Christian in China, Christian in Central Asia. So the Christianity was much bigger than this.
Yeah, I use this from like the most conservative map that I found, because in this area there were as well Christians all the way up to here and more. But this is like the minimum, minimum that I could. And then here,
the least we can find, the least evidence. Yeah, okay, I got it.
Yeah, and by the way, obviously in this area we are told no, there was no Christianity. Yes, there was, and we are now finding more and more and more stuff. But then we have a little guy who appears here and then says things like those who follow Jesus will be the uppermost until the day of resurrection. We're going to see that verse again in a minute. And we are meant to believe that to these people, they didn't recognize that it was talking about all of this land, and like Odon said, probably a lot wider than this, that they would think that no, all of those people are following Jesus wrong. They're not really following Jesus. If someone in the 7th century said, those who follow Jesus will be the uppermost until the day of judgment, this is what they mean, the whole empire. And actually, just a handful of years later, remember, they take Jerusalem. We are not dealing with people who are in South America and they haven't heard about these things. They are in the middle of it. They know that Christianity is everywhere. The sentence, those who follow Jesus will be uppermost until the day of judgment, is very clear. Everyone would understand it immediately that it is about Christianity and not 3 guys in Medina who believe something weird. So I like this map. Now, when we look at that, Surah 3, verse 55, just like Usama said, is very clear. We have that Jesus dies, and also that those who follow him will be superior to those who disbelieve until the day of judgment. This was very clear. They had a huge amount of land, the Christians at that time. There was no question about this. And even if this would have been passed off in a little village where they haven't heard of Christians or Jews, okay, they ended up conquering Jerusalem. Everybody would have known exactly the meaning of this. It is the tafsirs who then say, no, all of those people, I'll put them up again, all of those people are following Jesus wrong. Trust me, bro. Yeah, right. So that is clear. Those who follow Jesus will be uppermost. We know what it means. Jesus is Lord, and also he dies. Great. More stuff. Another verse of how they hide Jesus in plain sight. And this is happening everywhere in the Quran. This is very important. We have verses like this. Surah 58, verse 22. You will not find a people who believe in Allah and the last day having affection for those who oppose Allah and his messenger. You see, there you have it. Allah and Muhammad. See, even if they were their fathers or their sons or their brothers or their kindred, those he has decreed within their hearts faith and supported them with a spirit from him. Those are the successful. So this happens all the time. This makes absolutely no sense about those who follow Mohammed are supported with a spirit from him. This statement could not be any more Christian. This sounds Allah and his messenger, Al-Masih, who is mentioned before as well, as Lord, who is Jesus, and those who follow him, supported with the Spirit. We've all read the Bible. This would be the apostles and those who come after. And Daif International should not have translated this as a spirit from him, from God, because it reveals this is about Jesus, not Muhammad, and we have still the same thing again, the same theme. They are the successful. We've seen it before, those who follow Jesus. So we have verses like this that were very clearly about Jesus, and then they told a story about Muhammad, and they have superimposed that in the text. And I think this verse makes it very clear.
Yeah, brilliant.
Okay, let's see what else we've got. This one, which we've discussed as well a couple of
By
times.
the way, sorry, brother, before you get this point, if you don't mind, which, by the way, fit with the teachings of our Lord in the Bible. Whoever love a father or the mother or anybody or anything above me, he does not deserve me. If you go back to the previous one, it fit with Jesus teaching. You don't love your father or your wife or anybody above him.
Yes. It's almost like they took the same theme or passages
Same
of the
verse,
Bible and then they
little
changed
bit
them.
and make it- Yeah, exactly.
Great. And then these ones, which we've discussed as well before, Surah 5, verses 157 and 158. Both of those, they end with a similar statement. One of them is, it is those who will be the successful, and the other one is, follow him that you may be guided. And we are not going to unpack it today because we've already done it, I think, twice in recent weeks. But the messenger, the Ummi prophet, this is a full description of Jesus. It ends with, those are the successful, and we've now seen it in Surah 3, verse 55, very clearly so. And also in the previous one, the same with Surah 7, 158. The Quran was full of instruction to follow Jesus, and those who follow Jesus are the uppermost. But then they wrote a different story about Mohammed, and they put it on top of the text. But they didn't change the text, so now we can nitpick.
When you said instruction, I'm just thinking, if you look at something like the Didache, it was literally called the instruction. So maybe there's some kind of parallel there. Maybe there's something there that one could look at the Quran was an instruction. Obviously maybe mixed with other things eventually, but there's also that word, which is an interesting parallel with the Didache. Some kind of teaching text.
Yeah, I believe the Quran is the work of the devil anyway. Causes billions of Muslims to die without knowing Christ. I believe the Quran is a curse, because even the Apostle Paul said, if we or another angel from heaven, notice, we, the apostle, an angel from heaven, come up with another gospel beside the gospel which we know in the Holy Bible, let him be accursed. And that is Muhammad with his angel. End of story. I mean, literally, will you, if you follow the teaching of the Quran and you interpret it accurately, will this lead you to become a strong Christian? No. Will this make you a less of a Muslim and more of a Christian? Of course not. It is the work of the devil. How many millions of Muslims are dying without knowing Christ as Lord and Savior because of the writing or the work of the devil? Plenty. Sad. It's a sad, another gospel, a cursed gospel. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, I think it is possible that all of this was intended initially in good faith, basically just to give a little bit more of additional stories or a little bit more of the gospel, but it just went very, very wrong. And at this point, I think we're way past, we're 1400 years past saying, okay, well, it was done in good faith. A lot of harm has been done. So let's just figure out what it was.
Let me ask a question. Yeah, let me ask a question, brother, if you don't mind. Did you think that the same work of the devil was these cultic beliefs, which was introduced to the early church in a bigger scale about the denial of the triune God or the deity of Christ? It's work of the devil.
Yeah, that's making me think. I realized this the other day. The Quran has 6,236 verses. So if you take the two numbers in the middle, the 2 and the 3, and you multiply them, then you get 666. So I do wonder if there was someone who was canonizing this book, realizing what they were doing, and they made sure that they ended up in the number 6236 as a bit of a, hey guys, can you look into this? Maybe it's just numerology and it's a coincidence, but I find it a very happy coincidence. So let's see. The next that we have is this one. Usama, I don't know if you actually got to see it last time. You actually just went when we were talking about this one, and I thought I would bring it back, which in the translation, as we see here, is going to split Allah and his messenger. It only appears once in the Arabic, and then it says honor him and respect the prophet. So now it's been split, and then exalt Allah, even though in the actual Arabic, it just says Allah and his Rasul, and then you have all of these things which are meant to be applied to the Rasul, and everybody gets very embarrassed about it, so they have to make it in this manner.
Amen. Very powerful verse. You cannot tell me that Muslim worship or sing or praise to Muhammad in the way as you do it to Allah. Obviously, if that Rasul here is Christ, it's very well accepted because from day one they worship Christ. So I don't think a Muslim would take it. But I don't know how they put it in the other translation. Have you investigated how Muslim translated that one verse in other books, other fabricators?
This one, no. We can actually look at it very quickly, maybe. Well, actually, yes, we have time. I don't know if Lloyd
Maybe
is okay to check Quranics.
Lloyd, are you with us, brother Lloyd?
Doesn't seem so.
Lloyd is eating dinner right now. He's like, wow, I got the steak, I got all the time, I got this big potato with all the good stuff. Why do I need to bother to be in that group? Lloyd.
Yeah, well, until he comes back.
Make it
Every mass. Let's see how much meat you have there. Did you eat enough steak?
I have not had enough steak.
All right. Can you show us that verse, if you don't mind, in other 48 verse 9 in other translators? If you can do it quickly now. We don't want to spend an hour waiting on you.
Oh my gosh.
48
verse 9.
Need to be on the spot, brother. You know, fast. Remember, we
actually, as Lloyd actually is pulling this up. Just remember, Surah 48 is the only one where Makkah is supposed to be spelled out as MKH, and it also includes one of the only 4 verses of the mentioned Muhammad. So Surah 48 is a very, very important surah, and when we see things like this, where is meant to be about Jesus, and it's a surah that is supposed to be all about Muhammad, we know there is a lot of problems with it. So
here's a few. I've got a whole list of them down here. Yep.
And revere the noble messenger, Ahmad Khan. Yeah, Ahmad Khan is adding the noble messenger, noble.
I'm looking for the word glorify. The word I'm talking about, the word is sabbahuhu. Glorify. Nobody. The glory in Islam is only given to Allah. You cannot give glory to Muhammad or any prophet, not Moses, not Isa, not anybody. So if they're going to use the word glorify, they have a problem. You cannot glorify Muhammad because Allah is the one who is worthy to receive the glory. But if the messenger is Christ, there's no problem with the verse.
I suppose that when they were trying to do the first, when they were canonizing the book, they would have sat down and look at all of this and say, no, hang on a minute. This doesn't make sense. Why are we glorifying the messenger? And then they have to come up with the tafsirs and the hadiths and everything to correct what the book says. Because at that point, they already have a theology and their theology is contradicting the book. So I think they try to...
But why would you need to correct something if you had full control of it? So obviously there was a tussle over the book. Different people at different times wrote different things and someone had to harmonize it.
Yes, there is stories about this. Yes.
Sorry?
Yes, sorry, go on.
Yeah, I don't think they had full control on the Quran because the Quran had already been a bit spread.
So they couldn't control.
And so in order to control the Quran, you had to destroy every existing copy of it in order to change it. So they could change a bit, maybe add a verse or change a word, but they could not do what was done in the 7th century. In the 7th century, several times, every copy was gathered and burnt, and a new Quran was produced. But in the 8th century, in the 9th century, it became impossible to do so.
Yeah, so then they couldn't do any cleanup, so they had to do cleanup outside of the Quran.
Yeah, so they had to invent stories.
Yeah.
Even though Uthman ibn Affan did the best clean in the early days of Muhammad, the early days of the making up of the Quran, if that is a true story, that he burned actually the 7 original manuscript at the time.
For example. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And the letters of Leo III and Umar II, he wrote, well, assuming that it is genuine, that there were many different versions, and then he says, including one from Ali and so on. And that is as well mentioned in, I think it's in the Apology of Al-Kindi. So there are these accounts of people saying there were different versions. So, but it looks like by the time that we passed Al-Hajjaj, the boat had sailed and they just couldn't do it anymore.
By the way, the word ta'azzaru also can be translated help, and I do not know how can you help Allah if you want to take it help. It's just when you put Allah and His Messenger together, it's all over the Quran, all over the Quran. Obey Allah and His Messenger. You're no longer oneness. You believe in two. You partner. You're committing shirk. If you want to say messenger, here is Muhammad. You're committing shirk.
You know what? You just made me think of something. This comment from John of Damascus, right? John of Damascus, between 675 and 750, summarized Muhammad's Christology as presented in the Quran, and he puts it together as a coherent story, right? He says that Christ is the Word of God and His Spirit, created and a servant, born from Mary, the sister of Moses and Aaron, without seed, because the Word of God entered Mary, and she gave birth to Jesus, a prophet and a servant of God, and that the Jews, violating the law, wanted to crucify him. And they seized him, but they crucified his shadow. And Christ himself was not crucified, they say, nor did he die. God took him up to heaven unto himself, because he loved him. And he says that when he ascended into heaven, God asked him, Jesus, did you say that I am Son of God and God? And Jesus answered, be merciful to me, O Lord. You know that I did not say so, neither shall I boast that I am your servant. But men who have gone astray wrote that I said this thing, and they spoke lies against me, and they are in error. It's just, my thinking is just that when you put it together in that single sequence like that, it tells a different story. When you collect it together chronologically, right, sequentially in a logical step-by-step fashion, the story flows very differently to the disjointed, jumbled way that it is typically.
Yeah. I have a problem with created.
No, for sure. I mean, all of this is bogus, but I mean, but you start the structure just improves once. I mean, what John of Damascus did here to put it together in a logical sequence, chronological sequence, is actually very smart. Maybe that would also help clarify the story to put it together like this.
And this thing, by the way, when it says here, but men who have gone astray wrote that I said this thing. And it's like, yes, remember the map that we have just seen? It's like those people were the uppermost. So it looks like whatever actually John of Damascus actually heard, it was people already starting to create a narrative because they had a different theology. So, and actually to answer Usama, how can you help Allah? You can give him a loan. I think that is in the Quran. You can give a loan.
Good loan. Good loan. Yes. Extra cash. I'm waiting for
give him a loan.
Lloyd, send me a loan. Come on, Lloyd. You can send me a loan, man.
I will leave you alone. Anytime.
I did not say leave me alone. I said send me a loan. Give Allah a good loan. Give you some a better loan. Go ahead.
Cash only and sequential bills unmarked. Okay.
Yeah.
So we have this one. We see how they are embarrassed, and this one as well that we talked about a little while ago. So we have one verse here talking about Jesus being basically the messenger after messengers, and some were obedient and some were disobedient. Then by the time that we get to the next verse, is all of a sudden by magic is all about Muhammad, except that once we understand that the book is, it's talking about Jesus all the time, everything takes a different meaning. We know that this is not about Muhammad anymore, it's about Jesus, and it says, oh, you who have believed, fear Allah and believe in his messenger. So now that is no longer Muhammad, is Jesus. He will give you, he, that will be the messenger, will give you a double portion of his mercy and make for you a light by which you will walk and forgive you. So Allah, our messenger's mercy, once we know that this is about Jesus and he's the last noun being used, we know it makes sense, and this was all about Jesus. The light, who will give the light? It will be his light, that is very Christian, and also who forgives the sins. The Quran says in other places as well that Jesus is the one who forgives sins, but it's a bit hidden.
Right.
Yep. So all in all about Jesus. It's just that this is, hopefully this actually shows what they did. Every time that they could get away with saying, no, this is now about Mohammed, that's what they did. Once we understand that that was not what was written in there, we can look at it and says, no, okay, if it says his messenger, that's going to be Jesus. And many verses will then show that, like the one we saw before that said those who followed him were supported with a spirit from him, from God. It's very clear. There are other verses that are very vague. It will say, follow Allah and his messenger. And it's like, fine, that can be Jesus, Mohammed, Abraham, anyone. You just don't know. It's the specific verses that makes it very clear it is not about Mohammed. And we see how they play with the translations or whatever they have to. So, very hidden. And this, actually, I wanted to bring this up. It's just an article or a paper from Professor Munther Yunus. It's called Charging Steeds or Maidens Doing Good Deeds. I just wanted to show this. Of course, this is not my area of expertise, but because Usama is here, I wanted to bring it up. So in his paper, he is a scholar. He says that he's always had problems with Surah 100, the first 5 verses, and he tried to figure it out, basically, and the paper is him trying to figure it out. So the way that they are actually read is by the snorting courses, striking sparks of fire, and scouring to the raid at dawn, then therewith, with their trail of dust, cleaving as one the center of the foe. And Professor Yunus says this doesn't make any sense. Some of these words are used only once in the Quran, and sometimes it has one meaning only. So he, after just changing only a couple of things, he provides this additional rendering. So I put it there side by side. So Usama, you can see the little things that he has changed, like this, that disappears.
العاديات ضباحا والغاديات صباحا. Man. فالموريات قضاحا فالموريات قضاحا فالمغيرات صباحا فسرهن. He put them in one verse. فسرهن به نفعا فسرن به نقعا نفعا better than نقعا. If you make it to one dot, which something benefit, something good, can come out of فوسط به جمعا فوسط به جمع. It's the same. It didn't change anything. But نقعا does not have a meaning. نفعا have a meaning. قدحا صباحا. To be honest with you, I remember when I translated these small chapters in the end of the Quran, I gave up to try to make a meaning for it. I look in every dictionary. I look at every source of knowledge to try to make sense out of that. So what I ended is just picked up something from the scholars. I literally, I wish I know what Murad did with these chapters, because I'm sorry, you cannot translate a word that does not have a meaning. How can you translate a word? I couldn't even find what language in some other language. I searched it because there's a lot of foreign words in the Quran, and when I went to the original language, I figured out what Muhammad is trying to say, or whoever wrote the Quran. But when it comes to the small chapters like 4, 5, 6 verses, well, good luck. They're not Arabic. There's no meaning unless if you change. So if I know, I could change it, because dibahan, it have no meaning. Sabahan is morning. It makes sense. So, and remember now, the Quran was written without the dots. And if you put the dot in the wrong place, you come up with weirdo words. You have no idea what it is. Anyway, so that's a good idea. Whoever did this did a great job.
So Murad, he actually leaves lots of these words with question marks. Yes, exactly for the same reason you said. It's like, no, they don't exist. And this professor, he was really trying to figure it out, thinking maybe it's not because they are borrowings from Syriac or Hebrew. Maybe it's Arabic. It's just that they put the diacritics in the wrong place. And then he came up with this rendering saying that the third verse is probably an interpolation, and they were just trying to make it all about horses because they had decided that the first verse was about horses, so everything was about horses. But once I actually read that from his final rendering, just look at how it sounds, just a bit. So, and those are feminine, so those women going out in the early morning and kindling a flame by which they, female, chose to render a good deed and extend it to the multitudes. So I don't know if he got this right. Maybe some words are from a different language, but I was reading that and it made me feel maybe the original story was about Mary Magdalene going to the tomb on the third day. And of course, you cannot have that in the Quran, so you have to make up words. She was supposed to go there with perfumes and flowers, but you see what I'm talking about, that maybe the story that was there was very Christian, and it ends up being all about horses and hooves and things like that.
And I don't care how you want to translate it. It's still silly 5 verses without point.
Yeah, much of this, maybe we get answers with the Qira'at, because the different readings from Shadi Nasser, they might actually have some answers, and that's something I'm exploring actually quite a bit these days. So anyway, I thought this was a good example to show how this professor, just by changing a couple of dots here and there, you can actually see them, hopefully. So this one he removes, and then he adds it one here, and so on. Very small changes, and it starts to be directionally in the direction of something that might make sense from a Christological point of view, which makes me think, if scholars, they stop reading Mohammed and Makkah into every verse, and they thought, hang on a minute, could this be Christian? I think they would figure all of this out in no time at all. Maybe.
But don't forget, it's a clear Quran. Very clear, like mud.
Clear Arabic, exactly. It shows us a distance.
Easy to understand. Easy to understand. If I could not understand a jack about these 5 verses, I do not know who can understand them, but that's okay.
We've been joined by superstar, the rock star, Adam Seeker himself has joined us.
Hello, Adam.
Hello, everyone. This is your favorite Murt.
How
Man,
are
this
you?
is this is so beautiful, brother. What you guys are doing. I was just watching it, and I was like, man, what a panel here. What a panel here.
Yeah,
I'm
Mel
just a
was here,
small.
but he had to leave as well, unfortunately. Bad weather on his signal.
Okay, so
No,
should
no,
I
we'll
leave
be-
now?
No,
Okay,
no,
guys,
no, no,
like
no.
this panel doesn't like me at all, so you know.
No. We're gonna extend the program for 2 more hours. Go ahead, Loretta.
Alhamdulillah, I love it. I love it. You know, send the ham to the Allah because the dog of Allah is so hungry from the last 1400
Ham
years.
to Allah.
Yeah.
Which part of the ham?
Any part of the ham. Allah loves ham,
Mashallah.
remember?
Yep, I know.
Yeah, man, I like his pipe.
That's a real British part.
No, I like it too. No, it's a French one.
As a French? Oh, I saw it as a British.
So I remember, Usama, your first translation where your editor removed the word from Surah Ikhlas, Allah is one off, and he thought
Oh,
that you
man.
actually did a
I was
typo.
so mad. I was so mad. Because they're good English editors. They're trying to help Allah. I said, no, don't do that. It's Allah is one of, and they make it Allah is one.
Yeah. You know, here's a question for you guys, because you speak the Arabic, and you just raised something about charging steeds, right? About horses. This is a hadith. This is Sunan Abu Dawood, okay? Hadith 3881. And it says, I heard the Messenger of Allah saying, do not kill your children secretly for the milk with which a child is suckled while his mother is pregnant overtakes the horseman and throws him from his horse. Maybe you've got another horse mistranslation going on here.
Can you go up a little bit more? Up a little bit more, brother?
That's it.
Okay. لا تقتلوا أولادكم سرا. I have to make it short because the stuff in the bottom comes. لا تقتلوا أولادكم سرا فإن الغيل يدرك الفارس فيدعصه عصره بعد عصره عن فرسه. I never heard of that hadith before, man. Have you, Adam?
It is bizarre. Don't kill your children secretly for the milk, because
I
they
am
will
struck.
overtake the horse. What?
Is it just me? I'm not understanding the English.
Yeah,
But I don't know what is the
same
milk
here.
here. There's no milk in the Arabic. لا تقتلوا أولادكم سرا. Do not kill your children in secret.
For food.
That's it. There's no for milk. Where you got the milk from?
And what about the
Overtake
horse?
the milk with which the child suckled, which his mother. That does not fit the Arabic, man. Do me a favor. Copy the Arabic, and put it on Google Translation. No. Take the last sentence. The last sentence at the bottom.
No.
That is
No.
your hadith. Look, the last in the bottom. That's it. Copy this. Go ahead, put it in Google Translation. I don't know where you get milk, where you get horse. None of that is there.
Let's see if Deeple can do it. Guess not. German, oh my God, what is it doing?
Tötet eure Kinder nicht heimlich.
Heimlich, denn der Feind wird den Reiter einholen und ihn von seinem Pferd stürzen. I don't know
Do
why
you
it's
see any
doing.
milk? Do you see any mother? Do you see any cow? Do you see
English,
anything?
What the heck? Okay, I'm going to Google Translate. Sorry about that.
Come on, brother. I mean, we have to do it right.
Well, the treacherous one will catch up with the rider. The treacherous one.
I mean, the hadith does not make sense in Arabic, but when you add milk and mothers and stuff, makes sense. That's
Yeah,
not in
but
the Arabic.
It's just that there was the horse translation that JC just showed. Could this be something to do with horses or something else that was mistranslated?
No, the word al-ghayl, not al-khayl. Al-khayl means a horse. Al-ghayl, not horse. They're different words. Alif lam khah yeh lam is horse. Alif lam ghain yeh lam. I do not know what al-ghayl even is.
I mean, this is bizarre. So could there be mistranslations in the Arabic as well? I mean, this is very strange.
Okay, so let me say something. Google translators, when you have the kasra, shadda, gamma, kasra on the things, it will use the website of the translator. So go somewhere else for the translation.
Okay, DeepL doesn't do it. Let's try Microsoft Translator, which is often better.
I took the word al-ghayl by itself, and it have no meaning in the Arabic. Imagine that was me. So they're making up meaning to make Muhammad look good.
Okay, this is better.
Let me see what you have.
For certainly the guilt will overtake the rider and cause him to fall from the horse. Okay.
Still doesn't quite make sense, but it's a little more sensible.
The guilt of you killing the child will.
But al-ghayl, not the guilt. That's a different word. فإن الغيل it does not have a meaning. There's no meaning for the word. Let me take it. Just a minute. Let me take it to the what do you call this?
Should I email you this?
I'll take it to the dictionary.
It's just that when you brought up this charging steeds, I just thought of horses, and I just thought maybe there's a link here, something related.
Here is العربي لغوي, and I'm going to enter the word al-ghayl, and I give you the meaning of that word from their own dictionaries. Al-ghayl, that's the milk of the woman, the pregnant woman.
So this is the milk.
How can a pregnant woman has milk? Milk comes after delivery, not before.
I'm telling you, it says here الغيل بفتح فسكون مصدر غال جمع غيال وغيول لبن المرأة الحامل. It is the milk of the pregnant woman.
Like, how does the pregnant woman give milk?
I know. That's good luck.
A pregnant woman who is already with a child.
And then another one here. Another one here. No, it's like pregnant, not
So
the first one.
You make the girl give birth, and within 1 year you make her go pregnant again.
Here it is. Here it is. Here it is. It is the milk that the woman gave to her child while she's pregnant with another child.
Ah, okay.
So she was having a baby, and after the baby is born, she got pregnant again while she's still breastfeeding her first baby.
Oh wow!
Al-Ghail also is the valley which in it is water. Al-Ghail also is the place for the lion. Al-Ghail also is lots of trees. Trees. I'm not going to even waste my time and your time, because when you go to the dictionary, you find that the word can have all the meaning of every other word in planet Earth. Like, remember this, Adam. We did this together. Al-Mani. Just a minute, guys. Al-Mani is little water. Okay? Little water. Talk about the sperm. Man's sperm is mani. But it also could mean lots of water, like lots the ocean. Like the ocean.
Could this be a mechanism or method of confusion that they are using?
I call it
something about how they try to confuse things? Sorry?
Trust me, it's stupidity. They make meaning for words.
What I understood from this, and like money is now commonly used for the semen of a man, which is like a small amount of water. But what I have understood from this is, when the ahadith were being stated, so-called, or when the Quran was being written, so-called, or stated, so-called, Arabic was not an evolved language, and it had so many foreign words. So by the time it was being written, or by the time the tafsir writers were writing the tafsir of it, there was an evolution of Arabic language. So now you have certain language and you have certain words. Yet these early words which were there, they don't know how to interpret it, because that language, which is a mixture of languages when the language was not even evolved, is still there. So those words, nobody knows what the meaning is. So it might be a Persian word, it might be a Northern Aramaic word, it might be something else. So they don't know what is it. So now they have such contradictory meanings for these, like money in Urdu, because we Urdu is a mixture of language as well. Urdu is a mixture of Arabic, Hindi, Persian, and Punjabi. So it's also a mixture of language, and Persian as well. So we took certain words from Arabic as is. So when you take it money, it's always semen of a man, no matter what. No matter what. That's it. That's game over. We took a derived meaning, which is the most common meaning. But if you go into the Arabic Lasan, you have such stupid meanings.
If mani is water of the man, how does woman have mani?
Not in Urdu, but in Arabic, female does have money.
Only in Islam. Women in planet Earth do not have a fluid come out of her, which causes the baby. We will not find shad, not find shad, the mix between the two fluids. The whole thing is a comedy.
But brother, you need to understand that from the perspective of a 7th century caravan robber. From his perspective, the water that provides what do you call it?
Reduce to help the sexual activity.
The gel thing, kind of a thing, whatever you may like call it, like the greasing of that area, so that you will be able to do the action. So according to him, something is coming out, right? So for him, that creates the baby. So you need to look at it from the perspective of a 7th century caravan robber who doesn't have any knowledge whatsoever.
He did not have a microscope to see the eggs, not the flow, but the eggs. But that's okay.
But he doesn't even know. He doesn't even know that
Allah knows everything, Adam Seeker.
Dude, you and I both know that this is not written by God, right? So, but like at the end of the day, you think about it from a 7th century caravan robber's perspective, that whoever water comes out first, the child will resemble that. So what is happening is he is thinking, okay, man needs to come out later, female needs to come out earlier, and so that male child will be brought up, right? So that's like a very common fleshly fantasy that every time you actually do it with your better half, you will always delayed, and you be the rocker, you'll be the man. Yeah, man, I made her,
Otherwise, you're gonna have a bunch of girls, and good luck to have a boy. Mashallah.
Yeah, so that's the problem with this. Like this whole ideology is man-made.
Yeah, but besides that, I mean, how do you take words and get them so wrong where they could be completely something different? I mean, this is not a clear book. I mean, this is clearly human error.
All what you need to do is change a dot. You see what the scholar did in front of you? Al-adiyat, he made it al-ghadiyat. Dibahan, he made it sabahan. The dibahan doesn't have a meaning. Sabahan, I know, it's in the morning. Okay, but what does the bahan mean? I looked it up. I don't have a meaning for it.
So then, could this have? I mean, is this all just error? Or is it also deliberate for confusion? Because I mean, what JC showed us here, it's just. I mean, someone's trying to cover up something, right? Besides just being
I don't
stupid,
think so.
incompetent. Yeah.
I would disagree over here. It's not that. It's that someone who made it Sabahan instead of Sabahan, he in his area there was another predominant language, and in that predominant language that word might have had a meaning at that particular
Oh,
time when he was doing it. And he was like, okay, I need to put a dot. Where should I put a dot? Because when you have just the radam and now you have to put the dot, you can only
does
put
have
the
to
dot
be.
in the location where you think it will create a better word. And in your dictionary, if that word has a meaning, you will put the dot there where it will create a meaning for you, because you in your area knows that language.
Yeah, you got a point, Adam. But why use sabahan in verse 3, not in verse 1?
Okay, you kicked me out of it.
Go to verse 3 down. فالمغيرات صباحا. See, he used the word sabahan, not dibahan.
So then he knew that is also a word, so he created that word as well. But like for him, the first word had some meaning as well. That's what I'm saying. None of these Arabic words, letters were done in Saudi Arabia.
In Baghdad, the vowelization and the sound developed in Baghdad 7th century onwards.
And that is what we were told. Where is the first manuscript? Because I have manuscript till the 8th century which doesn't have the dots. So that is what we have been
It
told.
has to be over the 8th century, maybe late 8th century, early 9th century, but no way in 7th century. I don't believe so.
Yeah, because
we did not
that's what we have been told.
No, I'm not saying finished. I'm saying begun. Begun.
Oh,
Okay, where is at least one manuscript with complete dots of that type?
Because people don't realize, like for instance, if you look at early Bibles, those translations took hundreds of years. I mean, we think today we do a translation, we finish next week, but these jobs took decades, if not centuries.
Yeah.
So, 200-300 years is not unusual.
No, I understand what your point is, but the base thing is that where is the earliest manuscript of this guy? I forgot the name of this guy. Give me the name. I forgot the name. Who created the
Under
first
the
dots?
Abbasids,
There's a name.
under the Abbasids. I don't have the details, but
Okay, there's a name with that. I did that in my channel, but I don't have a single page of that guy.
So it's
None.
okay.
You don't have it. So if you don't have it, then it is a redacted story, because after that you have manuscript up to a 9th century where there are no dots. Like look at the Blue Quran, it doesn't have dots. That's a 9th century manuscript. Why?
Yeah.
So you're telling me for 200 years the dot was there and yet Blue Quran is without dots?
No, that's a problem. Yeah, that's a problem. I don't have an answer, but that's a problem. That's interesting.
And if I play with couple dots in one page, I can make a different story from the same page.
Exactly. And this is there in Hafs and versions very easily when you see Noghfer, Yoghfer, and so many of like that. So this Blue Quran is a late 9th century Quran. Okay, so let me give you the link. There you go. Where do I send the link? Where's the private chat? This is the private chat.
Top right.
Okay.
Actually, if I may, just to address what
Can you
Usama
open the link?
Sure.
So, Usama, what you have just said, I totally agree with that. When you just change some dots, then it will tell a different story. And what I think is that people need is to stop reading Mohammed and the Hijaz into the story and thinking, okay, could this be something very Christian, New Testament, Old Testament, and then try again. I think that is what would unlock the options that will make things make sense. But when we're trying to say, okay, so Muhammad is here in Mecca doing these things, how do I put the dots? It's like, yeah, you're never going to figure it out because he's not Muhammad in Mecca. But if we think Christology, maybe like this, we get some answers. Maybe.
Yep, could be.
Scroll down a little. Scroll down a little. This is the 9th century Quran. Where are the dots? Look at the Razm. It's just Razm. So if you have created dots in the 7th century, late 7th century or 8th century, why do we have a late 9th century manuscript without dots? So you're talking about 150 years, man. You said that it took translation. Now you're talking about translation versus putting the razm proper. So you are not we are not even translating right now. We are just putting the razm in a proper
Fair
place.
enough. Fair enough.
I might have an answer to your question, Adam. Why is there no dots there? Because I think it was done out of respect for the material, the first material out of which the Quran has been collected, edited, and copied. The Quran comes from notes that were written without dots, even though dots already existed in the 7th century, because it was not meant to be written. It was not a book per se. It was not a revelation, of course. There were makeshift notes, instruction notes, and they were not meant to be edited as a book.
But that's what you think.
Otherwise, they would have used the dots that were available at the time. If you look at the earliest papyri in Arabic, the one that were written in Egypt around 640, there are dots and diacriticals on them, which mean they were already in use at the time. So, if the Quran is written without dots and diacriticals, it's on purpose. It was made on purpose because there were no dots on the very first material, on the very first notes. And why is that? My opinion, my hypothesis is that these notes were not written in order to be collected
could be this was the original language, so they wanted to stay pure. Who knows? That could.
No.
What is the original language?
The same thing when you're a student and you take notes from your teacher and you do it in a very quick way.
Yeah.
You see,
let me
read they were not meant to be read by anyone else than the one who wrote them. They were personal notes,
private notes. Okay.
No, brother, that's
what's written here. If you don't mind, quickly here, can you go up a little bit?
Yeah, Usama, read this. This is the beautiful part. I like.
Ibn Abbas said, that's good, brother. And Ibn Abbas said, إنه كان يقرأ. He used to read it. أفلم يتبين. Have he do not discover or what do you call this? Examine or يعني أفلم ييأس, which he meant did he never give up? ويقول كتبها الكاتب وهو ناعس. The writer wrote it while he was asleep. Hello, is it يتبين أم ييأس؟ يتبين means يبحث, يعني يدقق في you examine, you investigate. ييأس, given up. Two different words. But the good excuse given by Ibn Abbas that the guy who wrote it, he was writing it while he was sleeping. You know, have you ever drive and sleep?
So why did I bring this up? Usama, listen, I brought this up for a reason. So here Ibn Abbas is saying that in Surah Ra'd, chapter number 13, verse number 31. Chapter number 13, verse number 31. It says currently, in the current Quran, it says, Afalam yayyasi. All right. So it is usually translated as they know, okay, or you know. Okay, you can open Surah Ra'd, chapter number 13, verse number 31. Afalam yayyasi. Ibn Abbas, in the Qira of the Ibn Abbas, he said that actually Muhammad said yatabayyani. Okay.
No, you say backward. Yatabayyan mean to examine. Yayas means give up. Yeah, but the one we have in the Hafs, which I haven't opened, Yayas means give up.
Now the problem with this is, if there was a razm at that particular time, this mistake would never have happened. You need to understand that, right? We know that in that time, Alif had always missing. Not always, 90% of the time Alif is missing. So if you remove Alif from Yayyasi, and then you just write it without the dots, that is very easy to be confused about.
Oh my word. You're bringing a chaos.
No, I'm bringing what it is. Like, read it from the Arabic. Forget the words. And remember, alif, removing alif, adding does not even matter, because at that time alif was not considered the main alphabet, as we know. Yatabayyan, without the diacritical mark, without the diacritical marks, and without the dots, this thing can be confused very easily.
Yeah.
So you cannot. So Mr. French was saying, Odon was saying that they had the dots. No, they never had the dots. They never had the dots in Arabia.
We have evidence
this
that
is the
they
evidence
were
of it. This is the evidence. They had the dots in the northern script, which is near the Syria, near the Syriac Arabic. So Syriac Arabic had dots in those area, not in the southern Arabic. Muhammad was in the southern side of the Arabic, no dots whatsoever. And this is not a time when you have trains where you can move out and go there where they have dots and everything. They didn't have trains or cars or anything. They were in the desert where multiple languages were evolving right now to make it more of an Arabic right now. And that is the evidence that Ibn Abbas saying, because that the Muslims are giving the evidence by themselves.
So
have a look, Adam, have a look at those papyri. You will see that there are some dots.
Sure. What if they already knew these things and they didn't have to put the vowelizations in? What if these were familiar passages? So that was unnecessary at that point for that reason.
You can't, brother. 6,000 verses in the Quran. The word
it's like a special rabbinic class who knew the stuff, special class of scholars or something.
You cannot.
Maybe it would be beneficial at one point to do a session where we all gather around and talk about different manuscripts, Kirat, and all of that stuff, because it's a fascinating subject, and I think we might actually benefit from discussing everything that we know about that very, very interesting stuff.
So let me show you something. Is my paintbrush there? Can you see that on the screen? Okay, this first letter, Usama, what is it without the dot?
It could be 5. It could be bih, teh, noon, theh, yeah.
Exactly.
Perfect. So basically it can be noon if I put a dot here. It can be ya if I put 2 dots here. It can be ta, if I do on the top.
Or ba,
right?
1 on the bottom. 1 dot on the bottom.
1 on the bottom, it can be ba.
Yeah. So you're talking about 5 different letters in the same thing.
So, and then if you do this swa, then you have like swa,
2
swa,
or wow. I mean,
so the standardization of the Quran only happened, I think, by the 10th century, according to my notes here. So, which means it wasn't necessarily widespread. It was maybe completed, but not yet transmitted everywhere. That would take another couple of centuries.
And then widespread Qurans were area-wise. So one area had Hafs, one area had Warsh, one area had Qalun, one area has Naseh, one area has Ibn Kasir, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, so Baghdad may have had a completed Quran, but that Quran had to be copied and then transported to wherever in the empire. So that could have taken a long time.
Brother Lloyd, here's the fact. You do not need Quran to have Muslims. You do not need to know Islam to have Muslims. All what you need is a sword and a man to rape a woman. If you got a sword and you kill some men, the wives are Muslims. And if you rape them, the children are Muslims. And that's how Islam spread in 87% of the Muslim world for people who do not speak Arabic. With or without the dots. When Islam came to Egypt, did they write the Quran with them in Egypt? No. Did they translate the Quran in the Coptic language? No. Did any of the Egyptian who were converted to Islam know Jacobite Islam? No. How did Egyptian become Muslim? They kill the men, they rape the women. And that's exactly what you said. That is a great evidence that Islam did not spread with proven evidence. or miracles or signs or something. Islam spread with a sword and private parts of men. Period.
And another thing, it spread with the idea that the first Muslim had, the first believers, that they were God's chosen people. This is very important, that they were God's deputies on earth. And in order to believe that you are chosen by God, you don't need a Quran. You just need someone to tell you you are a God's chosen people. You can go on and plunder and take slaves and rape.
But with all respect, brother, if you are a true Muslim, you need to know that until you die, you have no clue if Allah chooses you or not. You may be the best Muslim man you can imagine. You did all the pillars of Islam. You visited Mecca. You do prayer and everything. You fast Ramadan, everything. You do everything in Islam. And Allah did not choose you, and you're going to go to hell.
No, that's not what I was referring to. I was referring to the idea that Muslims are above the rest of humanity. And this is it is at the core of Islam. Islam posits that God has chosen Muslim to dominate the world.
Yeah, I see a point. Well, here's some dots. Lots of dots.
So this is the Syriac Arabic manuscript of the Bible Codex 152. This codex is attributed to be earliest carbon dating to be 900 CE. Okay, 900 CE.
Yeah.
Now here you can see dots.
Yeah.
You see Yaso over here. Let me just highlight certain things. Let me just show you. Here it says Yaso. It has 2 dots underneath it.
Yeah.
Very easy to read. Okay. This
Yes,
is why
yes,
why this is very important, because this is the first Arabic manuscript of the Bible where Muslims entered the word Allah in it. Before this manuscript, you will never find the word Allah in the Arabic translation of the Bible. That is why this manuscript is very important. That is where they first tried to introduce Allah in the Bible. And that is why this is very important for me. And that is why I have kept this. You need to understand that Allah was introduced in the biblical translation because Muslims have now invaded the Arab area of the Muslims. Egypt is now under their control. Now they are done fighting and sword, and the people that they can convert with sword, they have already done that. Now they are influencing the Arabic Bible there so that they can have an argument with them from the Bible.
And that was the dumbest thing the Christian allowed the Muslims to get involved in our translation. We should always keep it Ar-Rabb al-Ilah, not Allah.
And that was what it was before it. They actually started Allah
in Genesis. The word Ar-Rabb al-Ilah, it still exists in the Arabic Bible in Genesis few times and then disappeared.
Yeah. And even if you see the different Arabic translations that I have, like John Dyack translation to the latest Arabic translation, the Allah word is increasing. Like in the John Dyack translation, in the first chapter, the Allah is being mentioned only 27 or 26 times, if I'm not mistaken. The latest one has 30 times.
And you know what, Adam? You know what make me even sicker than that? If you look at the modern English Arabic translation of the Bible, you don't see Jesus the Son of God, but you see Jesus the Messenger of God. Rasulullah wa laysa ibn Allah. And they call Isa. You call him Isa, not Yeshua.
Yeah, yes, the latest Arabic translation has the word Isa instead of Yeshua. So this is how they are deceiving the Arab nation and moving them slowly out of the base of it. And the Arabic translation is now the most deceptive translation ever. Like even if you see the older Arabic translation, Sama Yahweh was there as in Arabic Yahweh. Now it is not over there. It says Al-Rab. So they have changed Yahweh to Al-Rab. You can go to BibleHub.com and open the 2 Arabic translation of Deuteronomy chapter number 6, verse number 5, if I'm not mistaken. The Sama. You will see they have changed the translation from Yahweh to Arab.
So this could also have happened in the past. I mean, So JC,
Is that
does
right
this
in front
add
of you?
to your material? Does this add to your thoughts?
Yes, certainly. This is exactly what they have done with their own book. So the book actually used to be all about Jesus, and then all of a sudden it's all about Allah and Muhammad. It doesn't surprise me at all to see that they would do that with the Bible, even to this day, because it is the same mentality. The only thing that has been perfectly preserved in Islam is the mentality of the Saracens. 1400 years of what it is actually true. So if you see Dawagandist, the sort of things that they do and they say, and it's all lies, roll that back 1400 years and you know who the original guys were. They
So the
took
same
things, they
process
lied
is
about
ongoing
everything.
today. So we're seeing
Mm.
it live in real time, and which means it's an established process.
That's the nature of cults, by the way. When you have cults, how do you know cults from true faith? If you have change, continuing change, it's a great evidence it's not from God. It's cult.
And Lloyd, probably you are the best person to understand this because you understand Sharia better than anybody else. I think Sharia is very much compatible with all of these deceitful tactics that we see.
I mean, look, there's a statement by one scholar where some guy tells a lie, and then they take him to task afterwards, and he says, no, I didn't lie about Muhammad. I lied for Muhammad.
And that is allowed in Islam. Like, you know, the lying part, you have a full presentation. For lying for Muhammad is actually gives you good virtues.
It's Muhammad said that in the hadith. You can lie on my behalf by saying something nice about me. I said, when in reality he never said.
To bring people to good faith, Deenul Haq, supposedly, you can lie. And Lloyd, you have a full-fledged presentation on that, man. I've used your presentation so many times.
Yeah, and you said you've been using the books now. You're using the book like Ihya Ulumuddin or other books as well.
Yeah, I've been using all of the books, Sunnah, Hadith, so I have collected all the evidences from the books now of your presentation and all the articles now.
Yeah,
Give me a second.
Islam just came on and I just timed them out for 10 minutes. So, yeah. So should we go like another 15 minutes or so and then call it a day? Because it's over a couple of hours already. Yeah.
Why, do you have to sleep?
I have to eat. There's that. Because, in Africa, people didn't eat a whole lot. In fact, Africans survive on $1 a day. And that's why when they offered me $2 a day here at this job in Poland, I took it. So, so basically, it's just a luxury to not be in Africa anymore.
Amen.
Back to you, JC.
Well, based on what we have discussed now, we see all of these things. There was no oral tradition. They put dots wherever they wanted. And also they lied about absolutely everything. It shouldn't surprise anyone that we have discussed all of these things which have nothing to do with Islam. So as a very quick summary, we've seen stories in previous shows that have nothing to do with Mohammed, like Surah 17, verse 1, the night of Al-Qadr, and the moon split. There is no Mohammed in any of those. They made it into Mohammed. Then Jesus dying and resurrecting. Again, those things are in the book, then they deny it. We see in the Quran repeatedly that it says that those who follow Jesus will be the successful. That is denied. The messenger, the Ummi prophet, that is Jesus, not Muhammad. Jesus is called the Word. This one is just like one of the big ones. Two things to see that this book was very Christian or Christian-ish, and it had nothing to do with Muhammad. It calls Jesus the Word of God, as we've discussed before, and the very final line here, which you cannot see because there is the banner, it simply reads, the Quran mentions the Holy Spirit. It should really be that simple. The Quran talks about the Holy Spirit in a book that keeps talking about Jesus as the Messiah. Of course, this was Christian-ish. The invention of Jibril being the Holy Spirit, that happens later. All of this deception that we've discussed a few minutes ago, this has happened from day one about their book. How can we not expect that in the tafsirs and everything else? We've seen Shekinah. There are verses where they're about Jesus, and then they have put Mohammed into those verses, and he's not there. We've seen some of those and things that we haven't discussed, but I think like Adam probably mentions this one quite a bit, Christian apologies like this, because Allah prays, which is, Very, very cool. And well, no intercession in Islam. I've just done actually a session. There is a lot of intercession in Islam in the Quran, saying that it is Jesus. And we've seen that the translators twist the meaning. This is what the Quran is. It has nothing to do with a guy walking in the Hijaz saying, let me tell you why I am the last prophet. None of those things are there. This book tells a different story, and they've lied about every single aspect of it. And this is just a quick summary of some of the stuff we've seen so far.
Maybe we should not. I mean, you can say lie, but so many of the Muslims I know personally who are deceived believe in a lie to be a truth because they've been taught as it is a truth.
Yeah. No, it's mostly it's a deception.
Yeah. And if they disagree, there are repercussions, very big ones. So that is a sign of a cult.
It's technically the term is a totalism.
Yeah.
So I mean, you've got totalitarian oppression, but you also have it's imposed via government, which is totalitarianism, but then you also have a horizontal social pressure called totalism. So it works both top down as well as horizontally. It's actually quite an interesting design, very effective design.
This is what is at play in every, for example, in the communist regimes. There was something coming from the top, and also social pressure, coercion.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, but there's one other thing that comes to mind when you look at this synthesis. Is all of this is evidence for the fabrication of the character of the Prophet of Islam. It means because they had to do this, because they had to twist the text and invent all these interpretations. It means that at the beginning there was no prophet of Islam, since they had to invent all of this.
But also look at today.
This is evident.
But today they're dismissing John of Damascus as, oh, he was a crank, he made stuff up. Because we know Islam is exactly like this, therefore John of Damascus is wrong. What if John of Damascus is right and modern Islamic narrative is false?
Right. To me, John of Damascus, the thing I like the most is all of the things that he doesn't talk about. He doesn't talk about the wives of the prophet, the conquest, the caliphates, the death. That is something that John of Damascus would certainly discuss. Like, so this guy got poisoned. There is no details about Mohammed that are discussed. And I think Mel mentioned that they are thinking that the accounts of John of Damascus, they are actually later. They are not his. They are from a century later. But still, you would expect that account to say a lot about Mohammed, and it doesn't say anything except for the story of Zayd.
It's a century later, because you'd think it'd be more established. But they're trying to get rid of John of Damascus now as a crank, as a fraud.
Well, unless they get rid of the Quran, we're still finding that there is no Mohammed in the book either. So, GG.
GG, exactly.
Yeah, so was that the end of your presentation, JJ, for today?
Yeah. This is just the summary of most of the things that we've discussed so far, and of course adding that one there because I thought that some people will like it because we know there are problems, and in a Trinitarian sense you can make sense of these things. Hopefully soon we will have more stuff, including proving that there is no Huris in the Quran, there is no virgins in paradise according to the Quran. So
we know the Quran wasn't quite written as well. We know that the Quran wasn't in consistent form at that time in history. So there's more to unpack here. There's a lot of history to unpack as well. You know, what happened in Baghdad may not have been replicated elsewhere. So different regions, there would have been competing stories, different versions of the Quran, some with dots, some without dots, some being misinterpreted. There was different languages, readers in different languages who didn't read Arabic. You had Jews translating Jewish stuff into Arabic. So there was a lot more going on that still needs to be unpacked as well and fitted into the whole story.
Yeah, it also shows how huge the process was. It took centuries. Hundreds of people, of traditionists and scribes worked on this. So it's complex, and this is why it's for some people, it's too big a discovery to understand.
No, but I think we're unpacking it piece by piece. I mean, piece by piece, we're working this out.
Piece by we're working our way, and I think we are on the right track.
Yeah, and fortunately, it's not. It's like using a sledgehammer, because we're not finding a little word that actually doesn't make sense. This is like every single verse. We are not going with a magnifying glass and seeing if we find a problem. The whole book is like this. It's not even that difficult. That's why I think when Usama, now that he is seeing that they're hiding Jesus in lots of verses, and hopefully Adam, now when you read the Quran and you remove Mohammed from the book and read it again, there is going to be so much that you will realize, oh my goodness me, this was always Jesus. It's going to be incredible. I look forward to seeing what things you notice, because we need Arabic speakers to read this.
You're absolutely right, brother. It is Jesus, but it is a confusion. It is Jesus where I see him as one of the triune God, or Jesus who is not the Son of God. So it's like, I don't know who is writing this. Does he know what he's talking about?
That's the thing. That's the thing I was pointing at the beginning of the stream. When we uncover that this is about Jesus, but which Jesus? Is it the Christianity's Jesus, Orthodox Christianity's Jesus, or sectarian Jesus from?
But there seems to be at least 3 different variants from different heretics, right? Different heresies, 3 to 4 versions from different heresies.
And there is another difficulty within the text, that the text is not coherent, it's not homogeneous. Some verses, I think, some verses were written in different contexts. But when we were looking at the Surah 9, for example, I believe Surah 9 was written, most of Surah 9 was written way after the bulk of the Quran.
They look at the end. Yeah, they look like it's the end.
Yeah, and the context changed. The
became more violent, more savage.
Yeah, and maybe there were some enmity within the believers. Some of them started to fight against others. It's the beginning of the fitna, actually.
That makes sense. Look, if you look, I can't remember the name of the scholar offhand now. I'll try and find it. But if you look at the church of the Kathisma in Jerusalem, 4th century, it was trashed and destroyed. But at one time, it was a church that had a prayer niche for the Muslims, and had space for the Jews as well as space for the Christians, if I recall. So this was an ecumenical church in Jerusalem, right, where all of these faiths prayed, and there was an effort to unite everyone under one banner, and then eventually they split off, and the Muslims formed their own identity. So there was an ecumenical effort at one point that eventually broke. Fred Donner, he speaks about this, and I've confirmed some of that as well. I've covered some of that.
Actually, I think the Kathisma church, it's an octagon with a rock in the middle, in the center of it.
And
it was the model for the Dome of the Rock.
It's copied from it. Yeah, exactly. It's modeled on the Kathisma.
At the time, it became a mosque. So it was not a church anymore. It was a mosque, because you cannot have ecumenical churches do not exist. Either you have a church or you have a mosque. You cannot have both.
Yeah, but this was a church.
And what's very interesting is that there come a time when the Muslims themselves destroyed their own mosque. This Kathisma mosque was destroyed by Muslims. And why is it so? I think it's because this church looked like the Dome of the Rock. And the Dome of the
Rock is clearly modeled on it.
It's modeled on it. And there come as Islam's narrative grew and was fabricated, there was a time when the Dome of the Rock became the reason for the Dome of the Rock that was invented was that it was made to commemorate the night journey of Muhammad. And when you put first when you put forth that the Dome of the Rock refers to Muhammad's night journey, you cannot have another mosque very similar to it, the Qatisma Mosque, which is just a regular mosque, because you cannot have both. Otherwise, it would ruin the meaning you want to put on the Dome of the Rock. And I think it is why the Qatisma Mosque had to be destroyed by Muslims in order to preserve the birthing narrative of Islam.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. Yes, so I guess we can call it a night here. Final words, anyone?
Yeah, as soon as I came, you're running away.
You came over an hour ago.
Really?
Yeshua!
Akbarul Azim. God bless you, man. You now know it, man. You know it. You got it.
You know what, Adam, when we start the program, me and Lloyd in our show, especially in our show, after we hear this countdown, and I say, ladies and habibis.
See, isn't it a good one? See, now you remember it, you know?
Absolutely. Anyway, that is good. I appreciate this crowd here. Good to be with you guys. It's the best 2 hour and whatever, 50 minutes. What? We don't know. 2 hour and 10 minutes.
15 minutes, yeah.
Yep. Thank you so much for sharing with you and learning from you guys. And God bless you all. And maybe we need to make Adam Seeker come earlier next time. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I just saw it online and I was like, man, I was supposed to go there on Thursday. Did anything happen on Thursday?
I did send you a message.
Did something happen on Thursday?
No, but I couldn't get hold of you, so we pushed it back. I couldn't reach you. I don't know if your WhatsApp or whatever, but I did.
Oh, that is gone, long gone, man. You have Skype. Throw it on Skype.
Oh, Teams, you mean? Okay, Teams.
Yeah, now the Teams. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, not WhatsApp. Okay, cool. I will delete that. Okay, then.
God bless you all.
It's been fascinating, JC. I mean, I think we all agree, right, that this does seem to be talking about Jesus, and there's a lot of funny business going on here.
But it confused Jesus, by the way. Once again, not the real Jesus of the Bible.
Yeah, let me say something over here. Sure. It might look like it is talking about Jesus, but in the Quran, you do not have a single time mention of Christians. Why? Quran never talks about Christians. Why? Hello? Why is everybody quiet?
I think the Quran talks a lot about Christians.
No, it never. Tell me a single time Quran mentions Christians. Give me one single verse where Quran mentions Christians.
The Nazarenes.
Every time the Quran mentions mushrikun or the shirk, it's about Christians.
No. How can you say that? Okay. Can you give me the word Christian in the Quran once?
You mean Masih? Of course.
Masihi. Because Quran never mentioned. Yeah, that's Christian. That's Christos.
Pardon my Arabic. It's not as good as yours. No, there is one mention of al-Injil, which could refer to Christians.
Could refer, but
actually, you're right. Allow me to rephrase what you were speaking about. It's not that the Quran does not speak of Christian. It's that the Islamic narrative, the Islamic interpretation of the Quran does not speak of Christian. It speaks of Nasara, but Nasara are not Christians.
But
if you look at the Quran literally, I think, and I'm convinced that the mushrikun are Christians.
Okay.
By nature, because the mushrikun who made Jesus is the wrong one.
Okay, hold on. Odon. Let's go back. You said Quranic Islamic interpretation. No, I'm not talking about Islamic interpretation. Islamic interpretation talks about Christians. I'm saying the words of the Quran talks about Nasara, not Masihi. Nasara could be the people from the people from Nazareth. Okay, so can I say everybody from the Hindustan are Hindus? No, there are Sikhs there are Christians there are so many people there.
But Adam, that's not true either, because Nasriyin, not Nasara. The word Nasara is used in the Quran for those who help it. Who says, "Man hum Ansari?" Who this will help me? Ansar and Nasara have nothing to do with Nasriyin. Nasriyin, the people who came from the city of Nazareth. So
okay, so there is no. So
let's have that discussion next time, because we're going to be a whole day talking about this.
It's
So
actually,
let me give me my moral story, and then we can actually keep it for the next time. But my moral story is that Quran is talking about some heretical cult, not Christians, and I can prove
Agreed.
that. So we can have it
I
next
mean,
time.
there's certainly that. There's clearly heretical Christians in there. That's I think
Cult. We can't call them Christians. Heretical cult of Christianity.
yeah,
no,
Okay.
maybe fine.
Think okay. Well, I think
Adam,
we really need to
Yes,
let
yes.
Lloyd go and have some food. If people
Oh,
actually want to
Lloyd,
continue
you
speaking,
can't fast for a
Wrap it up.
night. Come on, Lloyd.
if seeing as actually people are we're still actually now pretty much getting into the conversation, if anyone wants to continue this on another platform, so
Okay.
you know, I'm game. Just let me know.
You
Otherwise,
game?
we
Okay. Do
will
you want to come to my
expand.
channel
Yep, I can come to
right
your
after this
channel.
live stream? Odin, are
Sounds
you
like
up?
a good
Usama, are
plan.
you up?
I'll see if I can join you guys, but I gotta give it. You know, I've got to go and do some, you know, family
Okay,
stuff.
Usama, Lloyd, and Usama and Odin and brother, you wanna come to my channel? Should I open one?
Yep,
Open
let's
one, man.
go.
Open
Why
one.
not?
Open it.
All right.
Okay, give me 10 minutes. I'm opening one.
Let's see if I can join you.
Let's talk
Okay.
about this.
Send me the
All
link.
right. Thanks everyone.
Send me the link.
Good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy